Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mrs. Jan Osborne.
Hi. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Crossroads' third annual Nourish Change Breakfast. I am truly honored to serve as the chair of this year's event. On behalf of our host committee members, we're thrilled to welcome both first-time visitors and those of you who are returning to Crossroads. Immediately following today's presentations, we're going to encourage you to join us for a brief tour of the facility and participate in a special emergency box building volunteer experience. At Crossroads, we're committed to ensuring that no one in need of food goes unserved. And these emergency boxes are one of the most impactful ways we provide that support. For the last 23 years, Crossroads has led in the distribution of food of individuals and families, primarily in southern part of Dallas County. Last year, they distributed over 16 million pounds of food, which equates to over 13 million meals. A meal is determined by Feeding America to be 1.2 pounds per meal. The vision and mission of Crossroads is to strengthen families and build nutrition-stable communities. We do this by revolutionizing the pantry distribution model, driven by our research and a spirit of collaboration. At the heart of our efforts are our clients and shoppers, ensuring that they remain the center of our focus. Recently, our board vice chair, Dr. Sandy Pruitt, provided greater clarity on the work and impact of Crossroads in addressing food insecurity with these insightful words. Our mission is to transform food pantries into powerful images for health, opportunity, and social change. By empowering communities, harnessing advanced logistics, and utilizing data-driven insights, our work is improving efficiency and impact. It is the addition of social change that brings a powerful clarity to the impact of that work that happens right here in this facility every single day. I am truly honored to have the opportunity to work with this incredible team over the past few months, ensuring that we can all continue to do this important work together. Thank you, Benet, for inviting me to chair this breakfast. It's truly an honor. Looking back, who would have thought 20 years ago when we chaired our first event together that we would still be working together on events? You have been and continue to be an inspiring leader, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this journey with you. Thank you, Cynthia, Sarah, Leslie, for your leadership and service to raising funds and awareness to the needs of our community members facing insecurity. Many may not be aware of the time and effort it takes to put on an event like this, but it takes a lot of time. I have seen it firsthand. Some of you who helped us set up yesterday have also seen it firsthand. But it's been a joy to work with Cynthia, Sarah, and Leslie. I would like to thank those who have made this event possible. On behalf of the board, staff team, volunteers, and all served by Crossroads, I express our heartfelt thank you to Carolyn and David Miller family for their gift that helped underwrite our amazing speaker today. We look forward to a truly insightful and inspiring conversation between our own Laura Harris and Andrew Zimmern. Join me in thanking the Miller family. We also recognize this morning the generosity of Oryx, HEB, UT Southwestern Medical Center, Haynes and Boone, Valesco Energies, Thompson Coburn, Bank of Texas, and all of our great supporters and friends listed in the program today. Because we're hosting this event right here at the Crossroads facility, we're able to keep our cost incredibly low. This means that 97% of the funds from sponsors and table sales go to supporting our mission. And even more exciting, every gift given today will go 100% to Crossroads mission, making an immediate impact on the lives we serve. By the way, if you've been looking for your program, we've decided to save a few trees. So if you will look on your table and find the QR code, you can find your program and you can share with your friends that are unable to join. On the last page of the program are additional codes that allow you to volunteer and donate. As we prepare for the invocation and breakfast, you'll find a selection of light continental breakfast items on your table. For hot options, please feel free to help yourself to the buffet located nearby. And of course, coffee is available alongside the dining area for your enjoyment. We hope you enjoy your meal. My hope as this year's event chair is that you will be inspired to deepen your support of Crossroads' unique and innovative solutions to addressing food insecurity and providing equity for our communities in most need. Now I would like to welcome Reverend Mark Porter, Executive Director of Harmony Community Development Center, to deliver the invocation. Afterwards, please take time to enjoy your breakfast before our program begins. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jan, for the introduction. Will you please join me for this time in this moment? If you'll please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we gather today collectively as a community to support the wonderful work of Crossroads Community Service. We're thankful for their work to champion the cause of fighting hunger and food insecurity in our community. We recognize that many who go to bed hungry, families who struggle to put meals on their tables, and the children whose futures are compromised by the lack of nourishment. May we be inspired by compassion and driven by purpose in support of Crossroads. We pray your blessings on Ms. Benet and her great leadership of this organization. We pray for the board members, the staff, and all those who support this wonderful organization. Now, Heavenly Father, we pray your blessings upon this food, that it be helpful for the nourishment of our bodies. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. At this time, you can start making your way and line up for the food, and I believe someone will give us instructions on where to start.
So there's no order. Mind you, we give you choice in breakfast because choice in food matters. So you don't have to eat if you're not a breakfast eater, but if you are, don't miss it. So hurry up and get in line, get your food, get back to the table so we can go on with our program. Thank you so much. Good morning.
I see some people are still working their way through the food line. I hope you guys enjoyed breakfast this morning. My name is Addison Kim, and I am the board chair here at Crossroads. And as board chair, I have a great many of responsibilities and challenges and opportunities. And today I'm excited to honor a school preparing young men to be servant leaders. It may be either of these young men who serve as board chair someday, and what a proud moment that would be. The Power Change Award is given to an individual, company, or organization that disrupts the course of food insecurity through innovative solutions. We would like to recognize Jesuit College Preparatory School of Dallas this year as a testament to your invaluable contribution through volunteerism. Since 2020, Jesuit students have fortified our community through their weekly volunteer commitment, serving our shoppers each Wednesday from 9 a.m. to noon. To date, Jesuit students have provided over 142 hours of volunteerism, which equates to $4,515 of cost savings to our organization. And last year, a Jesuit student, Evan Mallinson, created Crossroads' first ever teen board. The peer-led teen board provides high school juniors and seniors with the opportunity to develop organizational and leadership skills beyond the classroom, across school district lines and into the community. It engages student leaders from across the greater Dallas County to activate a servant leadership model to benefit individuals who've never had a chance to thank them through advocacy and volunteerism. These principles are then shared with other teen students from around the greater Dallas area, showcasing Jesuit's commitment to leadership development. For these reasons, we present this year's Power Change Award to Jesuit College and Preparatory School of Dallas. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mike Earsing, President of Jesuit, to accept the award.
I feel glorious, glorious, got a chance to start again. I was born for this, it's who I am, how could I forget? I made it through the darkest part of the night, and now I see the sunrise. Now I feel glorious, glorious, I feel glorious, glorious.
I'm feeling glorious.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Benyé Watkins Chambers, President and CEO of Crossroads.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Some of you have been here before, right? This isn't your first year? Not your first time being in a presentation with me? Not the first time we've had to do this? It's year 3. Come on. You've eaten. You've had coffee. We just had prayer. So we know the call and response and how that's supposed to go. So let's do it again. Good morning, everyone. All right. Let's be excited about being here. We're running a few minutes behind, and I'm going to do something that I don't typically am not capable of doing, but we're going to try it today, and that is get caught up. So normally I don't read, and it's because it's distracting to me, and I left those little glasses right down there on the table. Yeah. Listen, we're all family and friends here, so we have fun at this event. But I'm excited to be able to bring to you my topic today. I was reading and thinking about this, and several people have mentioned the importance of it. And in February 2021, the American College of Pediatricians delivered a study, and that study was about the benefits of the family table. And in that study, they talk about something that I think is really important for us to understand about families who are food insecure. So I am going to read this. It says, as early as 1943, researchers were discussing the benefits of the family table from a sociological and cultural viewpoint. The family table talk is an essential part of the process whereby the family inducts the child into the life of society. Family meals allow parents to impart values, traditions, as well as demonstrate appropriate relationships, communication techniques, and problem-solving skills. It goes on to share some interesting facts of what happens at the family table. We experience all of our 6 senses, or 5, depending on who you are. We have the opportunity to connect after a long day. And we have the chance to listen to one another. And again, it says to problem solve. Family meals contribute to the cultural and ethnic, food unique family heritage. And this is the time we share those things. And then finally, it talks about, once again, the place where we teach our children to problem solve. 3 times we hear about problem-solving skills developed at the family table. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem, and our children are watching. Here are some facts, because we are in a crisis. And the fact of the matter is everything in Texas is bigger and better, and we say go big or go home, and right now we have to go home because we are not taking care of what happens there. We are number 1 for food insecurity in this country today, number 1. This Dallas County that we live in, work in, share space in, is number 6 in the country for food insecurity. And 1 in 5 children in our great state of Texas is food insecure. One of the things I always find interesting is that we talk about no child being hungry and childhood hunger, but the reality is children only go hungry when families don't have enough food. And it begs the question, what happens to the family table when there is limited food or no food at all? And at worst, when organizations like Crossroads, Community Services, and others who are here today struggle to make the family table possible for our food insecure neighbors and communities. You've heard about the work of Crossroads over these last years and our partnership with the North Texas Food Bank that allows us to distribute 16 million pounds of food. And that effort is growing. In the next 18 months, we will onboard another 18 agencies, and in that time, we will grow that distribution by anywhere from another 5 to 6 million pounds of food, being closer and closer to 25 million out of this warehouse. Well, we've been generously donated to by the North Texas Food Bank, this facility. We don't pay rent here. We do have to keep it going, but we don't pay rent. They gave us a truck recently to help with this expansion. Link Logistics donated another truck, but guess what? We need drivers. They don't go anywhere without those. And we need additional equipment, racking, all the things that it takes to put the food at the family table. So when there aren't enough dollars to do that, we struggle and we further jeopardize the family table. So what's it going to take? It's going to take you. We can't do it without you. There just isn't the possibility of that happening. And so many of you have already donated to make not only this space more conducive to the work that we do. We've got our friend Kay here, who is making this space such a way that we actually have an environment that people feel comfortable coming into, working in, because there's a lot of mental health work that happens here. And if you don't feel good about the space that you're working in, it makes that work that much harder. So thank you, Kay. We have our friends here from ASC who are helping us put a children's market. By the end of this year, there will be a children's market because the children run amok in here. They are crawling under the barriers. They are hanging off the sides of baskets. We need somewhere for them to sit down. And at the end of the day, what we have to remember is that we can. We have put together some new values. You see them here. And some of you can see the one on the end, and it says, yes, we can solve this problem. We are excited because several of my personal friends, some of them, and many of our donors new to us, have put together a $10,000 match for today. And so that's your job, to meet the $10,000 that goes into this organization. And what happens when you do that is you multiply that by 4, that 20,000 becomes 80,000 meals, okay? $4 for meals and $1 at Crossroads. That's what your money pays for. So I know you will rise to the occasion. And as we prepare, I want us to remember that together we can support the family table, whether it is a community of friends, a park bench, or even, again, when there's no table. at all. So as we go to the time where you can use those wonderful cards, the QR code, and click the treasure button and make your donation today, I also want to let you know that the centerpieces are yours to take for a wonderful gift of $75. And the herbs are real, so get to cooking. We've given you the utensils and a little bit of the food. And as you leave today, you will have the emergency boxes that you can either keep for yourself, and we want to thank Thompson Coburn for adding a safety flashlight in that, or you can share them with someone in the community. And we have swag for you at the back table, I was told. So don't forget that. But more than anything, I want to invite you to listen to this video made possible to us by UT Southwestern. This is what happens when we adequately and correctly prepare the parents in our community for the family table where the children in our community grow up to be the problem solvers of the solutions of the future, the problems of the future. They're going to create the solutions. So thank you so much for your time and your effort and your energy today. Listen, give, and enjoy. Thank you.
We're here at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship for culinary medicine class, which is a unique model of patient care happening in the community. We're not just doing a cooking class, we're connecting this to healthcare so that as part of someone's health insurance, we're checking their vital signs, we're monitoring their labs, and we're bringing it all together as part of a treatment plan that helps them achieve their health goals.
I know I needed to have some differences in my life, even at this precious age that I am, to learn better ways of preparing food, to learn better ways about nutritional values, and more importantly, to start preparing before and not waiting till the last minute.
Today, we are making the everything Mediterranean salad. When we're looking at bringing a group of community members who are peers together into the teaching kitchen to work together in small groups, there is something magical that happens.
I don't. A lot of people think that it's very hard to eat healthy, but it is not. It's very, very simple. I will always read labels. I'm no longer drinking soda. There are so many things to take away from this class. I mean, it's life-changing.
I'm gonna try to pull out this for you. We want to make sure when we're creating these materials for our culinary medicine classes, we want to take into account the needs of the community, their tastes, their culture, their preferences.
We need to bring our programs and our strategies to the communities that are doing amazing things with fewer resources and help work with them and alongside them to creatively transform health.
We thought it was a very excellent opportunity for us to engage with our partner, UT Southwestern, to have a community impact. And we are really excited that the community thinks so much about it, that they're sharing it with others.
We talk about the recipes. We share what we've done at home, what we've learned. It's phenomenal.
And look at the impact you're having in your homes and your communities. So thank you for sharing, Jennifer.
If I could go 6 more weeks, I would be there 6 more weeks.
It has just been so amazing because I wanted to change my life. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to sleep better. I wanted more energy. I have an 8-year-old. I'm 62, so now I can kind of keep up with them better. It's made a big difference in my life. It's meant so much to me. I'm so grateful.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Laura Harris, NBC5 Morning News Anchor.
Good morning, everybody. Miss Benet already got y'all ready for this. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I am super excited because I did not have to get up at 2 o'clock this morning, so I am ready to party. And I'm just really happy to be here. As Benet was saying, this is their 3rd annual event. And what I love about this event is that it's in the space where magic happens. A lot of us go to a lot of events in Dallas. We are a very giving community. but we usually do it off-site, right? And the fact that we get to come here and see that this is where the magic happens every day, I'm just so thankful to be part of that. Benet, to you and your staff, Jan, for your leadership on this event. You all did a fantastic job, so you should be proud. I also wanted to mention that was an incredible video, and there's going to be a teaching kitchen at the Redbird facility that's going to open in March of 2025. So there's going to be more people like her jumping for joy when they lose that weight, because as Benet has taught me, food is medicine. And that's one of the things that we all get a choice, right? If you're in this room right now, you're probably one of those people who is not food insecure. And so it's important for all of us to understand that this is just not their problem, but it's our problem. Everybody has to work together to make sure that we can get people the adequate food and the nutrition that they deserve. So without further ado, I cannot wait to introduce to you Chef Andrew Zimmern, who I've been talking to. We're now best friends. We've bonded on a couple things. Some things we'll have to talk about, but we're gonna get there. Andrew Zimmern is an Emmy-winning and 4-time James Beard Award-winning TV personality, chef, writer, and passionate global citizen. As the creator, executive producer, and host of the Bizarre Foods franchise, Andrew Zimmern's Driven by Food, MSNBC's What's Eating America, Magnolia Network's Emmy-nominated Family Dinner, Outdoor Channel's Wild Game Kitchen, and the Emmy-winning The Zimmern List, he has devoted his life to exploring and promoting cultural acceptance, tolerance, and understanding through food. You can also find him judging Iron Chef, Quest for an Iron Legend on Netflix, the Silos Baking Competition on HBO Max, and mentoring young chefs on Food Network's All-Star Academy. And later this year, he will premiere Andrew Zimmern's Field to Fire and A Partridge in a Pear Tree. So many amazing, amazing things. He's written 4 books. He is on outreach projects. He has worked with the United Nations World Food Program. He's a global goodwill ambassador. There are so many things that Chef Andrew has accomplished. And it just seems like every day when we continue to see all the amazing things that he's doing, it's just really awesome to see. And I am more than thankful that I get to moderate this conversation today. So without further ado, Chef Andrew Zimmern.
This is so fancy.
Well, I mean, I would like to take credit for it, but who do you all get to do the decorating in your living room here?
This is lovely.
You did it? Dwell with dignity. That's amazing. Well, this is beautiful. I love it. How you feeling?
I'm angry.
Tell me why.
That we all have to be here this morning and have this conversation. It pisses me off.
And I think that's exactly what we want here, right? We don't want to be angry, but this is the reality.
But that's the reality. We were talking earlier when I was getting a cup of coffee, and I said I'm an agitator. I'm not here to sell bread. I'm here to make yeast. I would like to live in a world where we don't have to have a breakfast to raise money for something that's a basic human right. It's not a privilege. Food on your table is a basic human right. We currently live in the greatest society in the history of planet Earth, the richest society in the history of planet Earth. And that we have, let's just take a small slice. You mentioned it, and Benet mentioned it. Everyone's mentioned it who's had an opportunity to speak. You saw it in the video, and the lady at the end of the video, that's what pissed me off, that she is an 8-year-old, and through her diet and changing in her life, she's now able to parent better. But the fact of the matter is that, 1 in every 5 children is food insecure in America. I prefer to use the word hunger. That used to be a national embarrassment. Then it became something that I thought was more criminal. And now I actually think it's genocidal by definition, because we actually have the dollars, the number is about $17.5 billion, to eliminate childhood hunger in America. There's actually a number assigned to it. And we somehow have a system in America that prevents us from assigning and budgeting dollars towards feeding children. And because we have the distribution systems with places like this, we have locations to feed children. They're also called schools, but they're everywhere, and community centers and places of worship. And you could just keep going on and on down the line. We have plenty of places for young people to access the food, right? So it's not a food desert issue, right? And because we waste so much food in America pre-contact, we actually could do a better job of that, and that's where a lot of food could be coming from, rescued food, as it's often called. I don't think we need a system where we have to rescue food. I think there's an easier way to fix this problem. But this number that's assigned to it means that we are actually deciding not to budget for it. Now, that $17 billion, I'll do the math for you, is 0.0026% of our federal budget. That's a rounding error, according to the OMB in Washington, D.C. Now, this is not some number I invented. I worked with the House Appropriations Committee for about a year prior to the Biden Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. And this dollar figure, right? I mean, you hear this phrase all the time. We have the will to do this. Everyone in this room is probably thinking, well, yeah, let's assign that $17.5 billion towards solving childhood hunger. And then we can, solve veterans' homelessness. And then we can just keep moving down through the list of social injustices that we can create. But we don't have the political will to do it. It's number one. Number two, we have a system here in America where we have a linkage between what I've identified as 14 different pillars of issues. And we don't have time to get into all of them. But for those who are working in this field, they already know this. And I'm hoping that those not working in this field who are here will learn this today and grow in their understanding of it and pursue finding out more about it. If we want to solve hunger in America, part of the solution is solving our immigration issues and not kicking that can down the road. That's not a red or blue or left or right issue. None of this is. I mean, we've had, just umpteen successive people in office who have not addressed this problem, right? I'm talking about the highest levels in Washington, D.C. But also at the state levels, everywhere from Texas to Minnesota, right, where I live. We've done some things very well. We're one of the 9 states in America with a free meals program at schools, right? Why that isn't national policy, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, oh my gosh. So we're letting children who are hungry sit there and watch other children eat because they may not have the $2 that day? Oh my God. And feeding kids, feeding everyone, lowers our healthcare cost, lowers our costs of maintaining our criminal justice system, provides better outcomes for a country that, quite frankly, we need better outcomes for all of our kids so that our country can be as resilient and vibrant in 50 years as it was 50 years ago, right?
And you're one of those people who's putting all of this to work with the United Nations World Food Program.
And other agencies that I work with, global NGOs, domestic nonprofits, small little community groups in where I live in Minneapolis. I mean, I got a note from Benet last night in my hotel room, and the salutation at the end was talking about, together we can solve this problem. This notion of community is so essentially important. I had no idea how to solve problems outside of my home 40 years ago. Clueless. I was self-centered, user of people, taker of things. My life, I matured. I grew up. I became a better human being. But I learned how to solve problems in my own house. And then I was able to export that out into my community. And you can too, however you define that. And then I was able to export that out into my city, and then my state, and then my country. And now, I have pilot programs in Africa, in Zambia, that I created with the United Nations World Food Program that I think should be in every school in the world, where kids are actually growing food at their own school that they eat, right? This kind of wisdom, this kind of benefit of work, of eating what you grow, has value way beyond the nutritional benefit, the caloric benefit, and on and on and on. It is a way of learning, a responsibility for your brothers and sisters, big B, big S, that you cannot find anywhere else. And I think we are investing in the wrong things. Climate crisis, immigration, national security, international security, all of these things are on this Mobius strip, along with hunger and food waste, that if you jump in on one issue, whatever that issue is, you will bump into all those other issues as well. And you need to link arms with those fellow travelers so that 20 years from now, we don't need to be in a room like this asking people to match a $10,000 donation from another entity, which, by the way, we should all do, right? Because the need right now, today, this morning, is money. The ask as we move forward for all groups like this across our country and around the world is to actually try to lessen the need for humanitarian work and increase our desire to create resiliency programs in communities all around this country. Well, let's start with our county here, right? And then our state, and then our country, and then our world. I mean, you all can take care of that and establish resiliency programs. When Benet was talking about, the mental health issues, the child care issues, I mean, we are fighting $1.5 trillion fight to combat the 4 processed food related illnesses. I mean, I say processed food related illnesses, not illnesses, because nobody ever got diabetes or got a heart attack from eating too much broccoli. It has never happened, ever. If we do understand that food is medicine, right? And if we truly do want to take on all these other things, we will find that our hunger issues disappear. We will find that portions of other problems start to lessen. There is a spider's web, and I say that so that you understand the complexity of the issue, but when I see a spider web, I take a broom and the spider web is gone. It's not a scary thing. We just have to turn our attention to a wealth of these issues, and the way we can do it is by attacking one of them in the place that we live, right? So let's raise that $10,000 here, and let's turn our attention towards resiliency programs that will eventually make this breakfast obsolete, right? And that is the necessary work, I think, that's in front of all of us, right? Because food and its associative issues that are on that Mobius strip are vitally important to every aspect of our lives, not only for you as residents of Dallas and this county, but as Texans and as Americans and as good global citizens. We have to eliminate these problems. It's incumbent upon us too. We are on planet Earth to love each other and to take care of our brothers and sisters. That's our goal, right? The world is not made up of fancy cars and wristwatches and turkey bacon. The world is made up of people, and we have to turn our attention to those people and give them the dignity and respect that a meal does, that a job does, that medical help does, that mental health programs do for those that need it, and on and on and on. That's our job in America today.
I love that. And at its most basic level, one of the things I like to always remind people of is the reason why you're partying for a purpose, right? So I like this analogy that a 6-year-old, my stepson is 6, he hates broccoli, but he has a choice, right? There's a difference between a child who has a choice to not like broccoli and a child who will never see it.
Yeah, who's making the broccoli? Maybe that's the issue.
Wait a minute. Now, we said we were going to get to this.
I'm just saying.
I make a mean grilled cheese.
No, I'm sure you do, and that's fantastic.
Listen, I said that I'm having
How's
some
your
issues.
broccoli? It's your nephew.
No, he's my stepson.
Oh, your
Poor
stepson.
thing.
Oh, my
I call him my
gosh.
bonus son. Jonathan's so sweet, but I mean, I'm having some issues, Chef. It's
Little
not
bit of-
about me, but I burn everything. The toast, the Pop-Tarts.
I know
the broccoli.
I know. I nominated.
I serve him water.
I nominated my wife for World's Worst Cook, and because the network and the show host, I work with the network. The show host is a friend of mine. It was a shoo-in that she was going to be on World's Worst Cook.
Your own wife. You put her on there.
I nominated her. And then she found out it was immediately, it became a big issue in our home.
She was offended.
But I thought she'd be great television. I was putting on my producer hat, and I should have had on my loving life partner hat.
You see my face.
Oh, yeah, I do. Look, I've been fairly well trained by her over the years, but I'm not perfect. I'm distracted by, cars in the driveway and other things. I'm awful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just don't. Maybe because you're like a professional chef, you probably shouldn't test her.
Well, yeah. I'm in television, so I've been married 7 times, and all of my wives have told me that
I was not going to say that.
I take the joy out of cooking for them, because we're cooking together, and I'm chopping vegetables and stuff, and she's still peeling her carrots, and I'm like, oh, I got that. And then I just keep reaching for stuff because I just get into that mode where let's get everything simmering on the stove and get the different pots going and the broccoli cooking. And then they all just at some point just walk out of the kitchen. And I finally put it together by wife number 13. I'm kidding. I'm on number 2.
Well, listen.
It's not bad, but she makes 5 or 6 things amazingly well, but she actually does burn toast. And I after the first 3 years
She's
of
my kind of
being
person.
together, I said to her, babe, she goes, it's the toaster. And I said, honey, I've been sitting in the living room looking into the kitchen. You hit the down button, you don't look at what the number is, and then you walk away and start doing other stuff. And I said, when you're cooking, that should be your zen. That's, at least for me, where I think of cooking as a yoga. I have a lot of internal issues swirling in my mind. I can't quiet my mind. And so I use cooking as a way to focus on something. And it doesn't matter what your yoga, I'm talking about yoga as a spiritual practice, not actually doing yoga poses or whatever. Which yoga can be your yoga, right? But if you love to tinker in the garage and you do that for an hour a day, your tinkering is a way to relax and quiet your mind, and you're hyper-focusing on how to get that carburetor going. You're not thinking about the 25 problems in your life, and you need that as a human being. We all need to quiet our minds. We live in an increasingly complex world, and we're taking on massive amounts of responsibility in our own homes and communities that generations ago were simply not issues, right? Because we are now combating legitimate existential problems in America. So all of us are more highly stressed, right? So everyone needs a yoga. I'm just glad that mine is something that I have an affinity for, which is cooking.
Yeah, and it's truly a passion of yours because you can see it when we watch your shows, on your Instagram, like all of your social media.
Food solves
really see.
every single, you name a problem, and I will tell you how food solves it.
Well, I know a problem that I'm not trying to shame you, but I know a problem that I found out about.
You food shamed me earlier.
Y'all, he likes black licorice. Thank you.
Wow.
Look at
Right on, buddy.
No.
Thank you for the support. All you need is one friend to support you. That's all I need. I'm fine.
I told him I would rather take a cheese grater to my shin than eat black licorice. Somebody said, wow. Yeah.
My father loved black licorice, and he gave me a love of black licorice, and he gave me a love of travel and appreciation for history and a love of stinky cheese. And when I was 5 years old, he would lower me. I was, at one point skinny and 5. He would hold me by my ankles and lower me into these giant boulder jetties that went out into the Atlantic in the places where we were blessed enough to have a second home and spend our summers. And he would pull me up, and I would have in my hands huge ropes of big, plump black mussels, which to this day are one of my favorite foods because of that. He would take me out clamming. We didn't call it foraging. He just thought it was fun on the weekends in the summer to do this kind of stuff, to take chicken legs one weekend and put them in a Ziploc bag and leave them next to the garbage cans. And then the next week we would come and he would withdraw the rotten chicken legs and put them on string, and we would throw them 40, 50 feet out into this estuary, this saltwater pond that would collect behind the dunes on Georgia Beach. And then you'd slowly pull them. And by the time it got to where you could see the leg, there were like 75 hard-shell blue crabs behind it. And your partner would just swim, or we would reverse, would swoop all these crabs up, and we'd have a big crab boil. I mean, we just thought it was, I realize now he loved food and loved cooking, and he was trying to figure out something to do with a hyperactive 5, 6, 7-year-old. And so I've loved food and been doing that ever since. We didn't call it foraging. We just called it fun.
You also have a passion for the anthropological side of food.
Yes, it's fascinating.
What about it, though, is fascinating for you?
How instructive it is, how much it teaches you about another culture and a people. I mean, look, it's an old cliche, understand history, otherwise you're doomed to repeat it and all that other kind of stuff. I just find from an anthropological and sociological point of view, understanding how people interact in different cultures, it academically fascinated me, but then I found out later in life as I continued to read and learn more that when I finally had the opportunity to make a television show, I asked the right questions. And I was accepted more by tribal and indigenous people around the world, our first peoples around the world, where they have a much different value set. If you don't contribute to the tribe, you are pushed out of the tribe, right? Uselessness is not tolerated, zero tolerance for uselessness. So when I would make shows, during my international travel years, and we would go into communities, and now when I go in with the UNWFP, I spend 2 or 3 days in those communities just helping do whatever. And if that means chopping wood and carrying water, it means chopping wood and carrying water. But the moment you are helping the community, the leaders in that community then openly share what's actually going on. And I learned how to problem solve and help problem solve and be aware of what's going on in communities like this one in Dallas, Texas, by working with tribal peoples 20 years ago, the first year I made Bizarre Foods. Because if you're not showing up, being curious, asking questions, helping, people don't want to talk to you. Then you're taking from the party. You're not giving to the party. Give to the party first, and you will then find out what's actually going on in that community. Otherwise, it's a fool's errand.
That show, Bizarre Foods, is just so much fun to watch. It's so engaging. But what do you get out of it?
The satisfaction. Well, first of all, it's fun to make. I got to you get to travel the world on someone else's dime over and over and over again. I made that show for 12 years. I mean, I traveled the world 100 times over, went to places that you can't get into. You cannot spend time with the Juntoisi in Botswana. You cannot spend time with indigenous nomadic peoples that don't have a relationship with the government in Mongolia. You cannot go to the places that I've been in China, in Russia, in Vietnam, in Syria, without doing what I do. And I got to, when you've been in those places, you understand how generous and loving and kind the people are. It really puts a period at the end of the sentence that, it's our governments and policymakers that need to be held accountable, because the people of many of those countries for whom we have very mixed feelings about, or at best are suspicious of, are just like you and me. It's incredible how much they are like us. And they don't want to be dominated in the way that they are in the case of like a government like Syria, right? With a ruthless dictator in their state house and terrorist proxy fighters inhabiting their military system. I mean, it just they don't want that. They want to be loved and they want to be a part of the world and they want a chance to love other people. Watch my Syria episode and check it out. But you know, I think what it did also was it was the necessary prep school for doing the global work that I now do, because I understand how the world works. You know, in What's Eating America, my favorite line that ever came out of my mouth, I was sitting on this giant John Deere combine down in Corpus Christi, Texas, the least healthy city in America. And we were actually shooting for 2 different episodes there because we could do we did an episode on farming, right? Because these big farm to freighter, you know, economies that exist down in that part of Texas. And then we could also shoot for our health and wellness episode because it's the least healthy city in America. And per capita, lots of stats. I know a lot of you know this because you're in this work. And I sat on this tractor and I looked into the camera and I said, if you want to know what's going on with a farm, I suggest you go and visit one. So few people actually go and visit a farm to understand what's happening with farming in America. You know, we are a nation, you know, founded on agriculture, on the backs of slaves stolen from their homelands. I mean, it's the most awful origin story of, I mean, everyone jokes about Australia. I mean, prisoners taken out of, you know, prisons and sent to a foreign land. I'm like, oh my God, they got out of jail. Our country is fundamentally founded on an agrarian society based on slavery. But you know, today, you know, this society that began on ag is now, ag is a big part of our problem. The concentration of power into a handful of different companies, the loss of the family farm. I could go on and on about ag. But the point in general is, if you want to know what's going on in a farm, go visit a farm. If you want to know what's going on in an African nation halfway around the world, go there. If you want to understand what's happening with veterans' homelessness, go talk to a homeless veteran. If you want to understand the epidemic opioid crisis in America, go talk to a junkie or an ex-junkie like me. You know, I'm very proudly 32 and a half years sober, but I'm also very proudly, thank you. I really had very little to do with it. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, this is what a heroin addict looks like. This is what an alcoholic looks like. This is what a suicide survivor looks like. I'm also a boss, a friend, a spouse, a father. I have a lot of titles, but I'm really, really proud of the bad ones. Really proud of it. Because this, me, and what I've done over the last 32 and a half years is the direct result of what we're doing here this morning, which is sprinkling dignity and respect onto the people who need it the most. When we castigate people coming out of jails and institutions of all kinds, right? What we call returning citizens. What a horrible, I mean, did they ever stop being citizens? What a horrible phrase to use. But, you know, for our brothers and sisters that are coming out of jails and institutions, right? The ones that we shower dignity and respect on, magically their lives are transformed. I mean, there's incredible case studies on this. The ones that are kicked to the sidelines and aren't given jobs and aren't given a helping hand to start their journey repatriating back into society have a horrific time and most often end up back into the criminal justice system. That's a horrific human cost, but it's also a horrific community and state crisis and national crisis that we have in America. we spend so much money on privatized jails. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the criminal justice system. But the fact of the matter is I also talk about the criminal justice system as the largest untapped, piece of our economy that I can think of. If we can mobilize folks coming out of jails and institutions with job training, education, skills, but not do it in a way that makes them feel less than, but in a way that lifts them up. And we do have those systems, ones that have been proven to have a great track record. What an incredible, powerful force for good and for change that will be. Much in the same way that my work in Africa is focused on the failing green economy there. 80% of the farmland in Africa won't be usable by 2050. And the soil is just losing all its nutrients, and there's nothing being done to put them back in. And the climate crisis is just a piece of that. But there's a blue economy, a sleeping giant. Africa's the largest island in the world. I know some of them are man-made canals, right? I mean, I get it. Technically, it's not an island, right? But I like to think of it as an island. And for the purposes of my public talks, I talk about Africa as an island. Africa represents the largest contiguous piece of coastline with the least amount of advantage used. It's staggering. Asia represents 75% of the export economy of seafood in the world. Africa represents 4%. And that's because fishing in Africa is mostly artisanal. It's done in very small boats. But the climate crisis has moved the fish further away from shore to colder water. So they now have to go out, these artisanal fishermen, in tiny little boats and canoes. It's much more dangerous to be 3 miles out than 1 mile out. You can't get back if there's a storm, and they don't have sophisticated equipment to understand what's going on. And while they have incredible wisdom from generations, millennia of doing this, the climate crisis has exacerbated the problems. There's also no electricity at the dock, so they can't make ice, they can't refrigerate the food, so they're just coming back with 4 or 5 kilos of fish instead of 100 kilos of fish. So part of what we're trying to do is get, well, we are doing it. We've engaged with Google and other big companies, and they are using AI and data collection so that we now have statistics to go to banks, both local in Africa, also the World Bank and other global lending institutions, and showing them that the biggest upside literally in the world is investing in developing countries' blue economies. There is hope in the water. I just made a documentary for PBS called Hope in the Water. You should all go watch it. I encourage you to get your PBS app, download it, look on your local PBS stations. I'm sure it's in reruns right now. It just dropped in June. But we go through all of this and more. If we protect our oceans, we can produce out of them. And so these are the things that I think are inextricably linked. You can't divorce yourself from thinking about how do we feed children in this county from how do we activate the blue economy in Africa. I'm not telling all of you to go work on that. There's other really smart people working on that. Just support them. Just understand that it is connected to hunger and wellness here in America, because the less money that we have to send over into different countries that are part of the developing world, another term that I hate, these cultures are fully developed. They just look different than ours. But if we grow blue economies in other parts of the world, that solves an international and national security issue for us. It allows us to spend less money on humanitarian aid. Resilience programs will work and fill in the gap, and we can focus more of our love and attention and money on solving childhood hunger in America, which costs $17.5 billion, but no one will spend it.
And that's my final point. I have about 1 minute left with you. I wish that we had so much more time, but I do want to make sure that everyone here gets a final thought so that they can take that to their communities and make sure that people do understand that this is a crisis, this is an issue. And just because you don't see it every day or you don't know what it looks like doesn't mean that it's not happening.
I mean, look, I'm preaching to the converted. If you're here, it's because you're involved. Or maybe you're a first timer, you have a desire to be involved. And I think so many people are unaware of the hunger that's in their own neighborhoods. So many people are unaware of the entire Mobius strip of issues that we need to solve in this country, because they, in totality, and in some of them individually, they represent legitimate existential crisis. And I think as important as the money, and maybe more important than the money, is awareness. My ask of everyone, everywhere I go, is, I hope you've heard something here, or you take a picture of one of these pillars, right? Together, innovation, unique, excellence, and just write a few thoughts about what that meant to you after spending the morning here, and send it to everyone on your email list in a very unpushy way, right? Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody wants to be lectured at, right? But I think there's a way for all of us to engage other people who are not engaged with these issues and say, hey, this is the stuff we need to be voting on. This is the stuff we need to be asking our representatives about at all different levels. This is what we need to be walking into our boss's office at work and say, are we giving to places like this? And can we donate skills that would help create resilience programs? Because maybe this institution has the dollars but needs more resilience programs. Or maybe they need dollars and resilience programs, right? That would cut down on the humanitarian aid. When I see that food is medicine, I mean, this idea is as old as the first physic garden that was written about in the Middle Ages, where they were growing sage as a way to cure the common cold. By the way, sage tea does take all your congestion away. I'd like to see us be at a point where everyone, not just the 200 of us in this room, but everyone in our community is as outraged and as angry as I am that there are hungry children here in this county. And guess what? There's hungry children everywhere in America. And that is, let's start. If we're not starting with the children, where else to start, right? Make people aware of it, spread awareness. And shameless plug, if you go to andrewzimmern.com and click on our partners page, they are not my corporate partners. There are all kinds of different ways to get involved with the 17 or 18 organizations on whose boards I sit, or who I volunteer my time with, or who I advocate for. And so it's a really cool place to get started if you want to start to take a look and learn about some more of these global or national issues. But I would beg of you, grow where you're planted. I always look at my feet and say, where am I, right? I'm in Dallas, Texas, talking about hunger and an incredible organization in Crossroads, and a huge, huge, huge thank you to the board, to the Millers, to Benet, to everyone who had any hand, and a thank you to you, Laura, anyone who had a hand in having me here and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. You people are the real heroes. Just look down at your own feet, right? You're not, online at your local coffee shop or in your house or at the office, right? You're right here problem solving for the future of your community. So the real round of applause should go to you and not to us. So thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I like being here.
You do? Well, come on back.
I loved Texas.
Do you?
Oh my God.
Well, then come back. I'm
here all the time. This is the first time you asked me to come here.
Or stay. Chef Andrew Zimmern, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. I wanted to share with you.
I just want to give you a hug.
Oh, I love this. Isn't that sweet? No, you're good. Y'all stay where you are. Oh. Nobody move. Chef, we're back. We got 3 announcements.
He's a person who likes to be listened to.
A little bit. We have 3 things before we let you go. 1, to say thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Chef. Great conversation.
Thank you.
Learned a lot myself. 2nd, we are $1,200 short of the $10,000. So somebody has not clicked their QR code. If that's you, you still got time. And lastly, if you are one of our sponsors who taking a photo with Chef as part of your package, he's going to head right back there to the step and repeat. We're going to do that really quickly. But I also want to encourage you to continue to eat. There looks to be plenty of food left. Enjoy each other, tour the market, do the box building opportunity. If you see a Crossroads staff person, they're going to be the people running around telling you what to do. Say thank you to them. They are really the ones who make this work happen. And so I want to thank our team who are here every single day, sometimes as early as 5:30 in the morning and as late as last night, 9:30, making it happen. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. So thank you all so much for your time, your talent, and your treasures. And that treasure includes your volunteerism. So if you're a company, come on down. We've got work for you to do here and problems that you can be a part of solving. Thank you all so much for joining us at the table. Have a great day.